The absolute void of profit. An absurd, surreal cyberpunk noir where a bard and a rogue navigate a chaotic cityscape of melting currency, jackets, and dissolving reality, challenging the boundaries of logic and capitalism. Chapter 1, Shadows in the Rain. The neon-lit city buzzed with life, electrical hums, the whirring of drone taxis, the faint smell of burnt ozone hanging in the air. And somewhere, deep in the underbelly of it all, the real action was unfolding. Beneath towering glass spires, their reflections broken by the acid rain, Jim Germany, known to some as the Great Tree, and his reluctant companion, Varek, were locked in the world's most bizarre, utterly confusing struggle. "We've gotta move fast, Varek," Jim said, his voice almost drowned out by the heavy rain. He adjusted his jacket, which had a strangely organic feel to it, like it was growing over his body. "We've got this whole thing to figure out. Whatever it is. Seriously though, is this the time to pee again? You've got your bladder, but I've got my own problems." Varek glanced at him from the shadows. His mind was spinning, but not in the usual way. Something felt different today. Time itself seemed to be distorting. Maybe it was the weather. Maybe it was the coffee. Maybe it was the fact that the rules of the universe were no longer following any standard protocols. Jim continued, as if not noticing the strange, vibrating pulse that seemed to be coming from his jacket. "I've been thinking, you know. The more money you make, the more it drains from you. The currency just evaporates. So, let's get some good deals in today." "Well, good deals in the sense that we're probably gonna lose half of it to a vending machine that insists we've bought the wrong thing." Varek's mouth tightened. "You know, this whole city is a scam, Jim. We should just head to the alley and figure out something else. Some real money." Jim frowned. "Real money doesn't exist anymore, Varek. Get with the program. The only way to make money in this world is to lose it. That's why I always buy extra coffee." Before Varek could respond, Jim clutched his stomach and grimaced, muttering under his breath, "I can feel it coming." "Feel what?" Varek asked, confused, already knowing the answer. "I gotta go poo-poo," Jim replied matter-of-factly. "Again?" Varek muttered, as Jim darted into a nearby public restroom, his boots slapping on the wet concrete. Chapter 2, The Mirror of Time. Inside the cramped bathroom, Jim sat in the solitary stall, hands on his knees, the sound of his internal clock ticking loud in his ears. Just as he was about to finish, the world outside of his body seemed to speed up, as though the very act of releasing was resetting the flow of time itself. Jim's eyes widened as his body started to vibrate. "Hold on. What?" His form stretched, pixels flickered across his skin, and suddenly his clothes didn't fit quite right. They had changed. They felt lighter, almost like he was wearing holograms. His once shaggy hair now floated upwards as if caught in an artificial wind. As he attempted to compose himself, he heard something disturbing in the air, a voice speaking through his sweat. "Mom's calling," said the voice. "Remember to fold your laundry. Also, why is your hair glowing?" Jim shook his head, his expression frozen in confusion. "This is the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me." Meanwhile, outside the bathroom, Varek was pacing. He had felt a strange twinge in his gut but ignored it, watching the slow trickle of neon signs as they flickered above him. The rain had started to pour harder now, turning everything into a slick, shimmering puddle. The world seemed to be closing in around him, as if the universe was on the verge of collapsing into a single point. He gritted his teeth and muttered, "Okay, now I've got it." Jim is crazy. I can't do this anymore. Chapter 3, Taste the Sound. Jim had been in the bathroom longer than necessary. His body had adjusted again. This time his limbs had grown a few inches taller, and his reflection had somehow started waving back at him. He was back to normalish when he felt that weird pull in his stomach. He knew what was coming. It wasn't just the craving to pee, it was time travel. As he bolted out of the bathroom, a loud snap of energy crackled across the air, and suddenly, Jim found himself somewhere else. The neon rain was replaced by blaring music from a nearby bar. The air was thick with the smell of sweat and burnt sugar. On the floor in front of him, a dancer swirled in a cloud of purple smoke. Varek was nowhere to be seen. Jim was left standing in the middle of a neon-drenched room, disoriented and wondering what exactly he had just stepped into. A bartender appeared, handing him a neon drink without him asking. "Hey there." "First time in the sound bar?" the bartender asked, grinning wildly. "You look like you're in the mood to taste sound. That's what we do here. You wanna experience music, with your taste buds." Jim stared at the glowing drink, hesitating. "Wait. So this place is about eating music?" "Yep," the bartender said. "You'll never hear sound the same way again. And it's a real treat for your inner vibes. Just relax. And trust the process." Before Jim could protest, he was pushed down into a seat, and another wave of music filled the air. As the beats pulsed, he could taste the rhythms, a sharp, bitter flavor, followed by smooth, creamy undertones. "Ugh," Jim muttered. "This tastes like bad espresso," with a side of regret. Suddenly, the ground beneath him buckled and spun, and he was back in the bathroom. The floor was cold, the sound of running water filling his ears. He blinked twice, trying to regain his bearings. "Jim! Get out of the bathroom already," Varek yelled through the door. "I've already lost half of our credits on the stupid vending machine." Jim opened the door, grinning. "You wouldn't believe what just happened. I tasted music. And my sweat. Did I mention that I communicate with my sweat now? It's weird, right?" Varek's eyes twitched with frustration. "Why does it feel like I'm getting dumber the longer I stay here?" Jim adjusted his jacket, squinting at the neon haze outside. "Time for a new plan." "I need more coffee, Varek." "You need to lose more money. That's the only way we're going to make it out of here alive." Before Varek could question his logic, Jim turned away. "Oh, and I think I need to go pee again." Chapter 4, Money. The city was harsh. It was cruel. The sky seemed to be melting, and the advertisements ran out of words, their glitching words fading into the red rain. Every single interaction here left you drained and confused. Money wasn't currency anymore, it was simply a way to drain your spirit. The more you tried to hold onto it, the faster it vanished. There was only one thing that truly mattered in this world: loss. Jim and Varek moved through the marketplace, where merchants peddled worthless junk that had been sold 100 times over. Jim reached into his pocket and pulled out a fistful of credits, which immediately began to dissolve into thin air. "See," Jim said, his voice tinged with satisfaction. "Told you. The more you try to keep it, the less you have. But the less you care about it, that's when the real fun starts." Varek scowled, looking around. "It's a racket, Jim. A whole city built on not making a profit. You lose to win." Jim threw his hands up in the air. "Exactly. You get it? Now, come on, we need to lose some more money. It's the only way to make this town feel like home. Varek sighed. He didn't quite understand it, but in a world where even P had meaning, he had long stopped questioning it. As Jim wandered off, heading toward another street corner to perform whatever strange ritual he had planned next, he caught a glimpse of his reflection in the neon haze. A giant blue blob of liquid was dripping down his face, his form was shifting, the colors swirling into new hues, and his mom's voice echoed in the back of his mind, "Don't forget your laundry, Jim." Jim laughed aloud. This was his life now. The end.